Everybody, it's Tracy Lobertini with Scottsville.
Hello.
And today we are talking about tourist destination and wedding venue and all around neat place, McCloud Mountain. So tell me a little bit of history. I love to start with the history. A little bit of history about how your family ended up with McCloud Mountain.
Let me start about McCloud Mountain. It's just got a lot of history, especially for this part of the country. Back before the interstate went in, Jim McCloud owned the mountain, and he wanted it to be another rock city. He wanted it to be a tourist destination, so he built the roads, bought a bus. His wife would sing to people on their way up to the mountain to look at the different sites, and a lot of sites there are one of the biggest chain of chimney rocks that you'll find anywhere, Elephant Ear Springs, just different places that they would spotlight on the tour up. And like I say, she had a little song that she'd sing on the way up the mountain and back down. They sold tickets here in La Follette. And to say that Jim McCloud was obsessed with it is not saying much. He was absolutely eat up with the property. He died in the mid-'80s, came to my dad, kind of like our other resort, wanted to sell the property, wanted my dad to sell the property. And Dad said, no, I think I'd like to just go ahead and pick it up myself.
So for the people who aren't local and don't know, your parents had Fields Real Estate or
Fields
Real Estate Company
Development.
for years. And your mom was always one of my heroes, one of the first female brokers in the area. So he would have come to him to say, hey, I think I need to sell. And then that's when your dad knew. And then, okay.
And Dad collected up, I believe it was 5 investors, and they purchased the property from Jim and started just slowly developing it into something, fix the roads a little bit better, pave the roads. And really, Dad built a house up there. It was the first house built on the ridge of the Cumberlands in this area. I'll never forget on the radio one morning, somebody called into the radio station and said, I'd like to report a UFO has landed on top of the mountain. Because that day before, they wrapped it in the white Tyvek, so it just really popped. And for years, we just kind of used it as our own retreat. We would have little parties up there. We had a generator. We didn't have power at the time, so we had a big generator in the yard, big thing of water that we used as a reservoir. And about 2007, Dad said it's time to make this thing happen, just as the recession was really getting into swing. Timing's not everything. But, started lotting it off and really making a go of it. The recession wound up being, really dragging things out. But then one day he said, we're going to build a restaurant up there. I said, Dad, we've been in restaurants our whole lives. We've never done great at it. Why would you want to build one now? He said, because building materials are right and people need jobs. He said, so now's the time to do it for later on. So we did. Opened up the restaurant in about 2010. And just to try to bring people in, you got to drag them in somehow to enjoy the place.
Probably because that's how I'd never been on the mountain until I went up to the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I think I went up for we even had I'd been there several times with them. You hosted a fundraiser for community health there.
Yeah.
So you used it for a lot of different things. When did you add the lodge?
The lodge went in as the restaurant was built.
Oh, okay.
We had one unit that opened up with the restaurant, and the second building opened up the next year. And all of that, like I say, it was to get people up there to enjoy
to see the view is unbelievable. How you can actually see the Smokies from there.
During the
On
winter.
a clear day.
Yeah. You can see the Clinch Range, House Mountain, and the Smokies are the furthest that you can see.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But Dad, more than anything, wanted to open up the restaurant and the lodge so that he could share it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just turn people loose in it. It's private roads. So by coming up there, it was his way of saying, welcome to my home. And, maybe look at a lot while you're here.
Yeah, and maybe you can buy something while you're up here. Well, it's beautiful. And I had only seen the view, and I'm going to use my terminology, and you correct me or just help me with it, from the front. Like if I'm at the restaurant or at the venue now, the wedding venue, and I'm looking out, that's the view I knew.
Yeah.
Not very long ago, you took me up and showed me the other side, the chimney rocks, and the view from the other side. That is a prettier view. It's more pristine. It's more undeveloped. How would you describe it?
The valley side is gorgeous because you're looking at more stuff. you're looking at cleared civilization.
And things you know, like if you're local, there's so-and-so's barn, and there's so-and-so's barn.
And at night, it's lit up like a big Christmas tree dotted all over the valley below. The other side, the Duff side, is more, it's just nature. You can see a pond in the distance. You can see the elk tower in the distance. It's a lot more just peace and tranquility.
Trees and mountains.
Yeah, trees and mountains.
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So, talk to me about the wedding venue.
The wedding venue, 2020 was a great year. Of course, East Tennessee didn't really shut down for much for very long. Tons of customers wanted to get out of the house. Probably our most successful financial year, which still wasn't that successful. I mean, like I say, we're operating at trying to get people to look at property as much as anything. And we looked at the end of the year at how hard we'd worked, and I told my sister, I said, by this time we'd lost my mom and dad. And I said, we operated with this much profit this year. If we divide it and pay taxes on it, was it worth it? And she started thinking. So we operated again in 2021 and just never could staff it up. Never could get the number of employees.
Well, it's still hard for people on a main road, easy to access, to get staff in a restaurant setting, let alone 30 minutes up. Well, it's probably not 30 minutes, but however far it would be from.
So on any given day operating, we would serve, 120 at dinner on Saturday night. On that night, we would need about 20 employees at any one given time, servers, cooks, dishwashers. We couldn't get more than 12 to 14 at any given time. There just wasn't enough staff willing to come to work. And even at that, if somebody missed a day of work, if you scolded them, they'd simply quit.
Yeah, go somewhere else.
We went through 94 employees in 2021.
My gosh, what those 1099s look like this
people were always wanting to get married there. It was one or the other. If we had to shut down the restaurant to do the weddings.
You really had to put your feet into one pool and out of another.
So for just a simple, keep from going crazy trying to, I run another business that takes all of my time, but then they'd call me and say, hey, our cook didn't show up tonight. You're going to have to come up and cook tonight. So it just got to be too much. And we still have people that call. We get calls every day, when's the restaurant opening? And they're very disappointed to hear that it's closed.
So maybe you could work out something that we're having a wedding. Do you want to come to the wedding? They're looking for a few extra mourners at this funeral. You want to go and be a mourner?
But we're starting to pick up steam as a wedding venue. 2022, we kind of laid off of it. We said, we'll start advertising, getting our ideals together. This past weekend, we had our largest wedding to date. It was 80 people.
So how does that look? I mean, how does it look? So you're having the wedding with the wonderful view. What's your rain situation? What do you do if it's going to rain?
We've also got the inside of the restaurant.
So you can bring them in and set it up there.
And we've had several smaller weddings there. We're just getting all of our inventory in. Over the next few days, we're going to be taking, right now we have 100 wedding chairs. We'll eventually have 200, and just lay them out different ways. If you have to go inside, here's how it's going to look.
Okay.
And it's really laid out nicely for it inside also.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a big open space inside. You can configure it any way you need to.
My biggest goal is to build an outdoor chapel with about 150 seats. That's, semi-permanent, roof overhead.
If I ever get married again, I'll just come up there and do it. I don't think we'll need to book that, but if I ever do it, that's where we do it. I think it's gorgeous, and it is special there. You feel there's a sweet spirit on that mountain.
And people will still come up and stay in the lodge. The lodge is open to the public, and a lot of times they'll ask, what is there to do here? Well, sit down, read a book, look off at the views, go for a hike. There's a lot of hiking trails there. The Cumberland Trail, which is a planned trail that's under construction, it'll rival the Appalachian Trail in size and scope. Comes right down our main road. So,
really?
Yeah, so
I didn't realize
it's always going to be a part of MCCLOUD.
That's awesome. So from I-75 to the chapel, about how long was that going to take?
30 minutes at
30
most.
minutes?
Yeah.
And how long do people need to be planning to book if they're trying to book?
This year, give us a couple months. And we hope to say, reserve it a year in advance. And that's what most wedding parties do.
Oh, yeah. Most people, that is such a big business now, and it's so much different than I'm sure when you got married, when I got married. It's so different. But do you have? How are you doing the receptions?
The reception this past weekend, they got married on the deck outside and came inside and we had everything laid out for them to bring their caterer.
So you're letting the caterer use your kitchen?
Yeah. And, most caterers have their own equipment. Some families, I know I've got a wedding coming up that's going to be a sunrise, and the family wants to fix biscuits and gravy for the congregation.
Oh my God. Well, if they need an extra person to come and eat, you just let me know. I'll come.
So, yeah,
they're trying to fill seats.
And we'll kind of do it a la carte. If you need the kitchen, it's a small fee. Basically, cleans it up.
Okay, gotcha, great. How many cars can you park in that parking lot there?
Caught me off guard with that.
Oh, as many as, unless everybody drives separate.
As a restaurant, it was not uncommon for us to seat 100 people on the weekends.
And you have plenty
there
of
was
parking.
always parking.
Okay,
and
so
we have some backup parking.
You would have enough for a 100-person wedding for sure.
The 80 this weekend there was plenty of spots.
Now, did some of the people from the wedding stay at the lodge?
They did. In fact, they pretty much booked up the lodge.
How wonderful. Okay. Well, how are people hearing about you?
Mainly just word of mouth right now. We've gone to the Pink Bride in Knoxville, done some advertising there, and got some traction. We're playing around with social media a little bit, and we're not wanting to jump in feet first. We're learning as we go, and we want to be able to do it right.
Are you afraid of the Bridezillas?
Them and the Dadzillas.
The Dadzillas. I see some of those shows. I don't know what channel that you end up on it, but I think these people are crazy.
Honestly, that's one of the reasons that we're not doing the catering and that we're not, we're simply saying, here's our facility. It's ready to the best of our abilities.
You know you can do that.
Yeah.
I know we have this and it's beautiful. I know we have these chairs and then all of the moving parts they're going to have to bring in.
Exactly.
So.
And then we have some wedding planners here locally that we can recommend.
Good.
And we'll let them take on the brides.
Let them take on the Bridezillas. Is there anything up and coming for now? Remind me, on McCloud Mountain there are houses. How many houses?
We've only got about 16 houses right now. We've got a new one breaking ground.
Exciting.
It's just been McCloud was always my dad's dream, his focus in life. While we took care of Deerfield and took care of things there. So now McCloud's getting to be more my focus.
Good.
Lost my parents a couple years ago and just really getting back in the swing of things.
I want to see this go. So if somebody wants to buy on McCloud Mountain, there's still lots available. No lakefront lots really available at Deerfield, but mountain view lots.
And from the mountain, you can see Norris Lake in about 5 different spots.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Probably the closest marina to McCloud is Powell Valley, and it's going to be about a 25-30-minute drive.
Yeah. But, compared to driving here 7 hours or, 5 hours, really and truly McCloud is unbelievable. And you can do Airbnb in the homes there. So I think that as we see the shift into people on the side-by-side trails and into people wanting to come to the mountains and people just trying to escape cities, I think you're going to see McCloud do nothing but go straight up.
Yeah. I would express concern to Dad from time to time. It's not really growing like he thought it would. He said, it's because we're really early to the game. He knew that 10 years ago.
He had such a vision. Yeah.
He said, just wait for it. It's going to show up.
And it's going to. Yeah. I still believe it. Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
And as like we were talking about before we came on here, the lake is discovered. The mountains are becoming discovered. I think that Campbell County has a huge future as a wedding mecca.
I agree.
Lots of beautiful chapels around the area. You can be at the bottom of the mountain, the top of the mountain, in a barn.
Yeah, there's a million different places to be, and we're so close to Knoxville, close to I-40,
and
right
off I-75. And we've got some infrastructure building up to take care of the wedding parties.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, we will be in touch.
Okay.
So I hope you'll come back. Oh, whoa. One more thing. Before we leave, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Okay. These are country sayings. Hillbilly sayings. You tell me if you've heard them before. Or you can ask me. The one I asked earlier was, have you ever heard the term wool, like wool that baby or wool in that kitten?
Yeah.
I've heard that one. Have you ever heard, it's a biggin? All one word. It's a biggin. Okay. How about a rosinero corn?
Yep. That's what my mom and dad called them growing up. We're from Eastern Kentucky originally.
So you've heard all those Irish potatoes or sweet potatoes, sweet milk as opposed to buttermilk.
Would you like that in a poke?
A poke, brown paper bag. Give me another one. Let's see what's another one. I'm trying to stump somebody about. So far, I'm not stumped anybody with the things that I say are country. I heard one the other day I hadn't heard before, and that was fetched on food.
Meaning food.
I don't want that fetched on food, meaning food that was pre-made.
Okay.
Yeah, not from scratch. Yeah, I hadn't heard that one either, but I love to hear those. And I was saying earlier, somebody had said something about you got to run that water right smart to get it hot.
Yep.
And I didn't know if it meant just the right way or for a while. It was for a while. You would have gotten that one just like that little quip. Yep. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.